When we hear the word resistance, what comes to mind?
Pardon me, pardon me, pardon me, pardon me, pardon me.
Anybody like to share? Any conversations you've had at your table? Any thoughts? When you hear resistance, what comes to mind?
Well, I said to find another way. Jim said the first thing that comes to him is no. And Marianne would... No surrender was what I said. And no surrender.
Love that. So we got find another way, straight up no, and then no surrender. So think about that during this community conversation, resistance. When you think about that, what comes to mind?
What's going on in the world, especially on the federal level, including the state, it's just absurd. There's so much negativity that's going on all across the world. People are trying to figure out what's going to happen next. In reality, this is all about us coming together. And then being an elected official, at least is my job, my view, to figure out how to bring people together for, just to empower them, to understand your voice, to understand your role, and to understand that we serve you. It's not the other way around. So I'll leave it there. I can go on my soapbox, but that's what I mean.
Yes, I love that. We need that. So with that, right, with all of these things, thinking about why we do the work that we do, with resistance, right, and especially in the current moment we're in right now, where it seems like every day we're waking up and it's like stuff everywhere, like, whoa, what's going on, right? In resisting things in this moment, what advice, best practices, skill sets could you offer to folks who are ready to fight, but getting exhausted with what we are constantly bombarded with?
Turn the TV off. What happens is that we've been thrown into this utter chaos. And whenever you're led by chaos, it breeds more chaos. So let's be honest, this is a safe place. How many woke up and said, oh my God, he did this today? Yeah. I don't even wake up and turn the TV on. I wake up, I meditate, and I think about what am I going to do to resist today? What am I going to do to push back today, right? Instead of us going on the defense, we need to go on the offense. Yeah. We need to be proactive. Look, no matter who's in office, the other side or the other side, they all a mess. Right? I mean, no.
Absolutely right.
Right? But I think what we have to do is center ourselves in peace. Yeah. And see what our next steps forward are. Then just real quick, when we think about the word resist, right? We often think about outward resistance. But I want to challenge us all to start with resistance from the inside. What does that look like? Resist your norms to be quiet. Yeah. Because a lot of us don't understand why we're in such utter chaos. Like, oh my God, what's going on? What's going on is we've been quiet for too long. We've been nice. We've been like, oh, I just want to. No, that's wrong, and stop it. Think about that, right? Start within yourself to know who you are. To know that your voice matters. Survivors speak. We are all surviving this chaos right now. So what do survivors do? We speak.
My thought process is literally aligned with yours. This resistance to me means not going along just to get along, all right? And at the end of the day, this is a moment where we must speak up. I don't care who you are, I don't care where you are, what religion, what race, where you live, what political party affiliation you have. At the end of the day, we have to call out the BS. And if somebody is doing wrong, we must call it out. When history is being made every day. Tomorrow is another opportunity to make history. The question is, are you all ready to make that history? And believe in yourself. That's really the key, because we all struggle in our brains, in our mindset, in our inner voice. Should we do this? Like, you know what? Should I really speak up? Am I meant to be in this space? Like, I don't know if y'all feel that way, but I know a lot of people who feel that way. And it's our job to convince others, like, get in your God-given purpose, speak up, because you are meant to be here. You are literally meant to be doing what you're doing now. Do not apologize. Do not apologize. I get so many people who come to me because I'm just a regular dude with a title. That's all I am. Regular dude with a title. I am no better than any one of you in this room. And vice versa. We need to stop putting people on pedestals. We need to stop putting folks, hey, you know what? Save us. Y'all save us. I'm a big believer in God. But what does the scripture say? Faith without works is dead. That's right. Let's put in this work, y'all. It's up to us. Who's going to care about us but us? That's the bottom line. So I'll leave it there, because don't give two, it's the 2 P's, right? Politicians and preachers. Don't give us a mic, because we talk better.
No, thank you. Let's clap it up for that. So many great things, man. So many great things. I think that what we heard from both of you, right, has me thinking about what I've been saying a lot lately, is that in this moment, in this revolution, like, no matter who you are, no matter where you sit in this life, like, we all have a role to play. Whether we realize it or not, we all have a role within the revolution. It might not look the same for me as it does for you, but we all have a role. I might be the one speaking. You might be the one planning. Or you might be the one posting something. Or you might be the one creating some type of art for people to, like, start thinking about something, right? But we all have a role to play, whether it's big or small. And that's the only way that, like, we'll start to see some progress, right? And I've been having this conversation a lot lately, especially, like, since November 5th, 2024. And folks that I would be speaking with would be under this impression, like, oh, we live in this country, we have laws, we have guardrails, we have things in place. He isn't going to be able to do that. Nothing is going to happen because we have courts, we have systems, we have all of these things, right? And I think that what this moment is showing us is that, like we heard, we've been comfortable and silent for too long that people have forgot that those things weren't just there, right? People had to fight for those things to even exist in the first place, right? And then even with that, those things are not just naturally given to us. The laws and the rights and the things that we live through every day are only as good as the people who we have in office making sure that those things happen. And if we have folks in office who are not making sure that those things happen, we live in a situation to where we wake up and a life that we were used to might be totally different the very next day, right? So I think that if anything, this moment shows that voting not only has consequences, but literally is so connected to literally everything that we do. So with that, right, in this moment that we're currently in, what advice, like, could you offer to people in terms of knowing what to focus on? Like, there are so many things that we can target. There are so many things happening. Like, even in our conversation when we were asking if you were mayor for a day, what would you do? So many people had different ideas, right? In a world where so many things happening all the time, how do you know for yourself, just like talk us through that, how do you choose where you put your energy?
So back in 2021, we hosted a workshop called Are You an Activist? This workshop is because we were trying to show everybody that you're an activist. What happens is we don't see ourselves as that because I think sometimes we just don't understand. So don't be scared to push back. Don't be scared to call your politician. We have called on this brother many a times. I'm getting ready to call him again. You know, we got some bad conditions in our prison system. He sits on the board, right? We got to know who these folks are and then take what we can offer and use it to be of influence in this movement.
That's true. What do you complain most about? Right? Like, I know what the federal freeze is, what Trump is doing is crazy. I don't know if that's what is igniting you to get involved in showing up here today. But, like, literally, what is that? It could be 1, 2, 3 issues But what is that main issue that drives you every day, that just gets on your last nerve? Like, man, I wish, man, if I had all the resources possible, I want to tackle this particular issue. That's what you should be focusing on. Now, as a state representative, like our job, we focus on a plethora of issues. It's so wide range, and we have to be at least keen and know something about every little issue, because you just don't know who's going to come up to you and ask a question. But at least for me and my perspective, it's hard to focus on just one issue, at least for me. Because our communities are burning. Like I can't travel to Lansing every day on you guys' behalf and not see the conditions that my home as well as my neighborhoods are going through. So I see homeless folks, and I'm like, we live in the wealthiest country in the world. Why in the heck do we have homeless people? We have abandoned homes all through this city. We can put people up if we wanted to, right? The situation that happened, what was it, a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, with the 2 babies dying in the van. Y'all heard about that?
Yeah.
That is inexcusable.
Yeah.
That's inexcusable. And then we want to blame the sister, the mother of the children. She did the best she can. At the end of the day, we get calls. I represent the poorest state house district in Michigan. Can y'all guess the median income of my district? The median income? 30,000, what else? 26, 17, $14,000. That's South Warren and Northeast Detroit. $14,000 in median income. I'm struggling as it is on $71,685. Can you imagine living on $14K? The city of Island Park also, the entire city of Island Park also has a median income of $14,000. These are the issues that literally drive me crazy. And I wake up every day knowing that if I do not solve these issues, I have failed. And so if you feel like every day when you wake up, like, you know what, this might be my last chance to go at this issue, to do whatever I can to challenge myself, to do whatever I can to figure out how to solve these issues, that's what we need to be thinking. And we need to challenge ourselves, because at the end of the day, tomorrow's never promised.
Yeah, all right. Before we pass it to the audience for questions, we talked about, I think, 2 important questions that I want you all to ponder on for yourself. What role can you play in the resistance? With that role, what issue are you going to focus on? Some of us might choose more than one. Some of us might have that big one for us, right? But think about that for yourself. What role do you play, or what role can you play within this moment? What issues are you going to focus on? Like I said, your role doesn't have to be this great big old protesting, organizing role. What are you comfortable with? What are you okay with doing? Maybe it's just having a conversation with somebody who you know you need to have a conversation with. Maybe it's sharing a post. Maybe it's making a video. Maybe it's coming to a meeting like this, right? What role do you play? What issue are you going to focus on? If you're comfortable sharing that with somebody at your table, I want you to go ahead and share that now. What are you thinking about that stood out to you from that conversation? Let's just get one person.
All right, I'll say the last thing I said. We didn't have time to discuss this. But I was saying, what maybe if we're going to talk local, which I came here thinking we were talking national, but if we want to talk local, maybe one of the things that the community needs to do, that the city of Detroit and every other city in the state of Michigan needs to do, is find out how we're going to procure the drugs that are given to children to inoculate them from diseases that are going to kill them, because we're not going to get them from the national anymore, and that's where they've always come from.
Yeah, vaccines are definitely a big thing, right? Especially in this moment, I saw something about measles outbreaks happening, and I heard that we didn't have a measles death in 10 years, 10 or 20 years, and we just had 2. So that's a good point. Anyone else? Yes.
You see what happened when you don't
read? We talked about a number of different issues, but what I can say the experience was I felt immediate connection. The city
probably needed
is the one talking about issues that are important to us and how we feel about it. it's a way to build community and connection, so.
Yeah. And something that I think is definitely important in this moment and probably all of our moments moving forward is finding that community, right? Finding the folks who are on the same page as you to do the work, to push whatever mission you're working towards forward. Something that this moment is teaching me now is that ultimately, we kind of like hinted towards it earlier, but nobody is saving us but ourselves, right? The power rests with people as long as people realize just how much power we have, right? And as long as we can keep that going, as much stuff is thrown our way, as many systems are broken, if we got that base and foundation within us, we can get to the next phase, whatever that phase might be, right? With that, before we transition, any other volunteers to answer for that question? Yes.
Biggest problem facing the country is wealth inequality. And that's complicated by Citizens United, the Supreme Court decision on that corporations have the right to free speech. Basically, our government has been purchased.
I've been noticing that a lot of criticism of like what's happening now is seeming to like take the root of empathy. Like, oh, you shouldn't do this because this is gonna hurt this group. And what about people facing things like this? You can't do that. And I realized, right, is that those in power, they're gonna hear that like, oh, okay, cool, nothing is gonna change. Like, if empathy was the driving force for these folks, some of this stuff would have never happened, right? So I think that to that point, we need to figure out what is the financial case to kind of help them figure out why we still need to make sure that everybody gets what they need to thrive. Because going the empathetic route hasn't really worked in our favor, because it's always gonna go back to how much money is this making me? How much money am I going to get from this, right? So I've been just paying attention to what's happening, and I think that is just such an interesting strategy when we constantly go like, oh no, you're going to hurt this group, and oh no, kids have to eat food to go to school. That's not going to change anything. What about the finances? Like, what piece can we cue into to kind of like make change there? Because that's what I'm noticing is going to push people forward. Yeah.
Just a real quick point to your suggestion or your thought process. How many people heard about taking back our power? It's a coalition. Michigan United is a part of it. Few labor unions, Detroit Action, a bunch of progressive groups. Essentially, they're pushing and advocating to get all money out of politics. So I'm one of the champions. I'm the lead sponsor on the bill. We dropped the bills last term. We're working on dropping the bills again in the next few weeks. But our goal is to essentially, bifurcate or bypass with the Citizens United decision, which made corporations people and gave them ultimate power. So we're trying to get all the money out of politics, level the playing field, because I'm gonna be honest with you, if the money wasn't there or nobody really cared about it per se, I guarantee a lot of these decisions that are being made on our behalf, especially just last week at the state with earned pay sick time and minimum wage rollbacks, that wouldn't have happened. So that's something, just go to takingbackourpower.org, read it. Michigan United is a part of it, everybody's a part of it, definitely plug into
it. For sure, thank you. All right, before we transition to the next phase, just want to turn it over to the audience. Any questions for our two community experts here? Any questions anybody want to ask them, get their insights, anything you've been thinking? All right.
I mean, at this point,